Hey everybody, and welcome to Rabbit's Ramblings, podcast 436. This time I have a little bit of game news to talk about. There are two things happening by the time the podcast comes out. One is for Magic the Gathering, and one is for No Rest for the Wicked. And then there are two bits of news about games that are upcoming after the podcast comes out. Highguard and For Loop. Hopefully you'll enjoy the show. Every great once in a while, I feel like playing a collectible card game. Magic the Gathering just so happens to have a new expansion and sort of, season year happening pretty much right now. I had the feeling to do that right at the correct time, I guess. The expansion is called Lorwyn Eclipsed, and there's a lot of stuff sort of going back to the beginning of the game with some of the elves and other stuff that was around long time ago. I guess they are sort of refreshing that. There's a cool new aspect, I guess, where there's like a night phase and a day phase, and the cards can change depending on that. That looked pretty cool. I did peek into it on Arena, which is where I play, and I only got 3 booster packs, so that's 15 cards each if I'm not mistaken, and a couple of those cards are lands, so you're really only getting a few cards. I think I probably got maybe 25 cards to play with, which you have to have 60 to do a deck, and even if you ignore like 20 of those for lands, that's still 40, so I have nowhere near a cohesive collection to even think of making a deck. I did play a couple of games and got completely wrecked. I guess the standard format allows you to play anything from the last 3 years of cards, so that would explain why I'm always completely confused and lost in terms of what's happening in the game and what combos are going on. The kind of hilarious thing, though, about when I played the first game was somebody had basically a bunny deck, which I found hilarious. They played a specific kind of bunny creature, and then there was some kind of event card they played. So when they played the bunny creature, it would make more bunny creatures. So it's like they play a bunny, and then they got like another bunny, and then they got 2 more bunnies, and then they got 4 more bunnies. And it was just kind of hilarious that I, with my rabbit name, was playing against somebody with a bunny deck as their first, challenge for the season. But I don't know. I always spend far more time reading and trying to understand the cards and the combinations and what possible decks could be built, and there's just so many cards. I mean, we're probably talking about hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cards. Even limiting that to, the 3 colors I prefer is still a massive amount of cards and combinations. So, I don't know. I'll probably play a few more games and then probably dip out because the complexity is just way too high. I was going to try and just stick to the new expansion, but like I said, I only have like 20 cards for it, so that is not at all viable. So I don't know, if you were into Magic the Gathering, that is a cool new thing happening. If you're super casual about it like me, you might stick around, you might not, I don't know. It seems like it would require an investment. The patch that was being tested for No Rest for the Wicked back during December is now coming out on the 22nd, which will be just before this podcast. So that will be out, and I will probably be playing that a ton, because they took a bunch of feedback we had and made some changes, so there are still some new things and new systems, even though we did get to test this out for, I think, about a month. So that will be very super fun for me and anybody else who has No Rest for the Wicked early access, or, anybody that wants to grab it. They recently just passed over 1 million sold, which is pretty crazy and super good news. Just after this podcast comes out is a new game called Highguard on the 26th. We don't really know anything kind of about the game, really. There was a trailer, I guess a couple months ago now, but the company has said basically absolutely nothing about it, which is completely insane. So they are getting all kinds of community backlash of, oh, this looks so generic, oh, this is dead game, oh, why would I play this? And it's like, guys, calm down, maybe give them a chance to, release and see what there is. Although it is really completely stupid of them to have not had, a big media push and introduce the different characters in the game, because it looks, hero-based, so they could have easily had like a week, and every day we'll launch 4 new trailers of, these different 4 characters you can play, and, they should have had a bunch of full gameplay videos of, oh, here's what a full game looks like from this person's perspective, because we don't know. I am guessing it is something like Battleborn, where you're going, across a map and you're fighting some NPC enemies, and then you're taking over some resources, and then you're going and attacking the enemy player base, and you might run into each other along the way, and so there's fighting at the base or various locations. That's what it looks like, but we don't know, again, because all we've seen is this 3-minute trailer. But it is free to play. It's made by the people who made Apex Legends, so we know it is some kind of PvP thing. Since it is free to play, I will probably check it out and give it a chance, but since it is a PvP-based thing, I probably won't stick with it long term. There haven't really been any PvP games I have stuck with long term, because usually their communities turn pretty toxic pretty quickly, and so, even if the game is interesting to me, I will rapidly lose interest, with toxic players in the game. So I guess we'll see. Free to play, and I'm sure, a bunch of people will be covering it around that time. And then a couple days after that is a new game called For Loop on the 28th. There's also not been any news about that other than the trailer, which makes no sense to me because this is right around the corner. It's like, why did you put up a trailer and then like a month later the game is releasing and not give any more information about it? The trailer does give a little bit of information in that it is 4-player co-op hero-based game. So you pick your person of who knows how many people are available and what kind of class structure they have. Who knows? There was no information about that. But then you go and you fight in a zone, and then you have this waiting area, I guess, where you probably, re-equip and recover and stuff. And there's this map which shows many branching paths to get to the end point. So that looks pretty cool. Seems like a roguelike sort of map, in that you pick your paths that your heroes are going to go on. And the big one for me, which I never got into Left 4 Dead, which is what these developers previously did, is that was, real-world zombie-based, so they were pretty limited in what they could do in terms of the bad guys and the areas. But For Loop is science fiction based, and so hopefully that will give them a lot more freedom to be really creative with the weapons and the abilities and the bad guys you are fighting. They don't show off a whole lot of bad guys or abilities, so we don't really know, but it does seem potentially much more interesting. But Left 4 Dead was a full price game, so I don't know the price on this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was $60. And would not at all be surprised if it was, at least $40. So if it is, I will probably stay away from it because I play by myself. And, usually 4-player co-op games are not good really at all if you are solo. So I guess we'll see. But if you have friends you play with and you enjoy that kind of game, that is something potentially to look forward to. And that's all the news coming up. Maybe next podcast I will have some more specifics to talk about that stuff, but I guess we'll see. So that's it for this podcast. I don't have any more news about my kidney issues. We're still trying to resolve that. After I recorded this, I'm going to go in for another retest, and we'll see what the results say about that. I expect they'll say the same thing. I don't feel any different. My body hasn't seemed any different, so I don't see any reason why my results would be different. But we'll see. I don't know. The doctor is doing a different test, so maybe the different test will give new information that will be helpful. And again, I will update people in the future on that. And hopefully maybe next time we'll have some real news and maybe some good news, because, it worries me, even though the doctor is not worried yet. I am worry about it because your kidneys aren't working right, usually ends very badly. So I guess we'll see on that. It's winter, so it is really cold and terrible, and I am, not having a good time, but I am trying to hang on as best I can. With the new game things coming up, hopefully I can be at least distracted. And I don't know what I'll talk about next time, maybe one of those things, but hopefully I'll see everybody next time. Okay, thanks, bye.
You have been listening to Rabbit's Ramblings. If you would like to see the show notes or feed the bunny by sending a donation, you can find the show website at www.rabbit.com/podcast/rabbitsramblings.html. When you type Rabbit's Ramblings, don't use a space. If you would like to send me an email, you can do so at rabbit@rabbit.com. If you like my page, you can also post on Facebook at rabbit.com. You can follow me on YouTube at rabb1t's. I have a page on Patreon at www.patreon.com/rabbit, RABB1T. You can set up a monthly recurring subscription there at a price point of your choice. Be sure to put the number 1 in place of I anytime you type rabbit.
Rabbit's Ramblings is copyright Eric Stryker, using a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Derivatives License 2026.